Thank you very much, Wolfgang, and to all the presenters so far. So I'm Stuart Broadbent. I'm the Obsolescence Management Director of Alstom, and I'm also the chair of the Institute of Obsolescence Management in the UK. So I'm going to talk about how Alstom is implementing smartPCN in its supply chain processes from supplier through to our end customers. So firstly, a little bit about Alstom and why we're implementing smartPCN. So after its acquisition of Bombardier Transportation, Alstom is now the largest rail equipment manufacturer outside China, with an annual turnover of about 15 billion euros. We supply trains, signalling systems and infrastructure that are expected to last 30 years or more, and we offer maintenance services for our products. As well as electronic components, and we always talk about electronic components when we talk about obsolescence, we're receiving an increasing number of alerts for mechanical and electrical components, and we're struggling to manage those. We needed a process that enabled us to manage obsolescence alerts and then to communicate them systematically to our maintenance units and to our customers. And we have customers that are now specifying smartPCN as the mechanism for communication of product discontinuance notices. So it's vital that we manage obsolescence, and smartPCN is part of that strategy. So let's have a look at the world of the original component manufacturers who make substances and components, the world of the original equipment manufacturers who make equipment for us and they make subsystems, Alstom doing design and build, Alstom services, then our customers who of course are doing maintenance and operations. And from start to finish, from the start of the first time we might buy a substance or a component through to the end of life of our system, that can be potentially 30 to 60 years. So we're talking about a long time in which obsolescence can occur. So, if we may. So we're receiving change notices, discontinuance notices, EOL notifications for substances and for components, and they're coming in to our design and departments. Both, and we're also receiving them from the equipment manufacturers and the subsystem manufacturers. We have to process that. We have to take it through within the Alstom process from where we make our own equipment that we put into our own systems, and also we then have to process it through to our maintenance and service operations and through to customer. So that's really, you can see that from components, the end of life notifications we're receiving from the supply chain, our internal supply chain is supplying equipment to our integrators, and then notifying our service operations and our customers. That's the supply chain that we're talking about in Alstom. So what happens today? Well, our suppliers send us manual product discontinuance notices. I won't say any more about that, except because you've heard all about that so far. That's about paper documents, it's about PDFs, it's about manual documents that have to be processed. And I show one arrow, but maybe we receive many times the same product discontinuance notice. So we started to work with a data provider, DD+M, and that data provider receives both smartPCNs from some suppliers and manual product discontinuance notices from suppliers, which it converts into smartPCNs. What we need to do is to talk to the data provider with a list of the parts that we're interested in, because they've got maybe 1 million manufacturer part numbers in their database. So today we synchronize with DD+M, our data provider, 50,000 part numbers that they know we're interested in. And whenever they have a smartPCN for one of those manufacturer part numbers, they send us a smartPCN. And so we're now getting some of our product discontinuance notices from our data provider, including ones that we probably didn't capture before, because although we're very good at capturing in Alstom electronic component obsolescence, we are less good at capturing electrical and mechanical obsolescence. We went one stage further with this process, which was to take the manual product discontinuance notices that we receive in Alstom, we send them to our data provider, and we receive them back as smartPCNs. Why do we do that? Well, the key part of that is that when we receive a product discontinuance notice from a manufacturer, that may have 5, 10, 20, 100 part numbers on it. When we're doing a manual processing of a product discontinuance notice, we do a search, we look to find the parts that interest us, we load those into our Alstom database, and then we file the product discontinuance notice, and we leave the other 95 manufacturer part numbers that were also affected by that. They're dormant, they're out of sight, they're in our paper or our PDF archive. By sending the document to our data provider, the data provider captures all the manufacturer part numbers on that document, sends it back to us, and on the first day we may only find 1 or 2 or 5 manufacturer part numbers that are relevant to us. But in future, as we add more parts to our database, we're of course, because of the acquisition of Bombardier, we're doubling the size of our parts database anyway. We may find parts that we're already dealing with that are maybe in the Bombardier part of the business. They're in a part of the business that hasn't yet got all its parts into the obsolescence management system. When those parts go in, we synchronize those new manufacturer part numbers, and we find that we've actually already got the smart PCNs for those parts, so that we can identify obsolescence. Similarly, if we take over the management or the maintenance or services relating to another OEM's rolling stock or signaling or infrastructure system, then we'll again maybe find more matches between the part numbers that are used by the third-party manufacturer and our database. So we get this extra bonus, as well as getting as well as having everything in the form of a smart PCN within our business. We actually also capture the other parts that are on a smart PCN. So let's now move into Alstom's business. And as was asked, the question that was asked at the beginning, is smartPCN free? Well, the format is free, and with our TomSys database, which is our obsolescence management system, we added a module of that database into which we put the format, the structure of a smartPCN as a data table, as part of TomSys. That allows us to add Alstom part numbers to the part numbers that we receive, and that enables us to send them forward both to the design authorities within Alstom, to the production units and service units that use our data, and also into our parts data management tool. And that means that information with its Alstom part numbers is known within the Alstom world, and people are able to, by going into the parts data management system, they can inquire, and in a future development, we're going to put the smart PCNs directly into our parts data management system, and we're going to use the data from them to update the parts data management system. So if the smart PCN says that the end of life date for this part is September 2023, then when the smart PCN goes through to our parts data management system, it will also update the fields in that database. So we're using the smart PCN that has come from a manufacturer. We've added Alstom part numbers, and we've put it into our parts data management system. So what happens in the world of, let's just not have the build there. Right, so we also know that our customers want to use smartPCNs to receive notifications of product discontinuance, and many of those customers are those that link to AMSYS, and I'm sure Bjorn Bartel will tell us a little bit about what AMSYS do. What we're looking to do is to be in a position to send smartPCNs to our customers. One, because that meets their requirements, because they're mandating that use, and number two, because actually it's much easier to do it than to send paper documents. And so what we're currently developing and is in the plan for the next financial year is to transfer the Alstom smartPCN into our customer relationship management system. So what do I mean by an Alstom smartPCN? I mean either the smartPCN that's come from one of our manufacturers, but we're adding the Alstom part numbers and the customer part numbers if we have them. And if it's Alstom itself that is declaring the end of life of a product, and again, that's an Alstom smartPCN. So our design authorities are capable of creating their own smartPCNs. So we send that into our customer relationship management system. And what do we do with it then? We do essentially three things. One of which will be to send the smartPCN directly to our customer, the customer who is smartPCN ready, and we'll send that directly from our customer relationship management system. That means we have a direct view that he's opened it, that he's read it, and which is often important. If a customer is mandating the use of smartPCN, it also means he's going to measure it. So if one day he thinks that we failed to tell him about a product discontinuance, then our customer relationship management system will have the evidence that we supplied that information. Secondly, because some of our customers want to go via the AMSYS portal, we'll send the smartPCN to the AMSYS portal for them to forward to our customers. Again, the acknowledgement is received in the AMSYS portal. Third thing that comes out of this will be for those customers that are not yet ready for smartPCN, and we hope one day they will all be ready for smartPCN, then we will, at the last minute before we send it to the customer, we will send a customer specific manual PDN in a readable format for him, which might be an Excel file, for example, that will include his customer part number, and that will go as an email attachment or as part of the customer relationship management system. So you can see we're going from the world of our suppliers and the use of a data provider, bringing the smartPCNs into Alstom, capturing as much information as we can from the manual ones by converting them into smartPCNs. As I say, you can see the stats there, 50,000 manufacturer part numbers that we are currently synchronizing with our data provider, and that number increases every week. We send that forward within the world of Alstom, where we have a smartPCN module of TomSys, where we send that forward to our design authorities. One of the things we did early on in this project was to capture the preferred parts lists for electrical and mechanical parts to make sure that to capture all those in TomSys, our obsolescence management system, and to synchronize them back to our data provider. Our design authorities can create smartPCNs, and we can then send those smartPCNs forward to our customers, as I say, some of whom are now mandating the use of smartPCN, and so it's in everybody's interests. So I think, to summarize that, it's been quite a long journey. I think we started this 3 years ago when we started to the financial case, the business case to deliver it. We developed the module in TomSys. We developed the link with the data provider, and now as we go forward, we're looking to link that into our parts data management system and to link it into our customer relationship management system. So what have we had? The numbers are not the numbers are not massive. We've had 292 smart PCNs in the first 2 years. We don't put our electronics through that. We already have a mechanism for managing electronic components. So this is about electrical and mechanical parts. What it's done is to enable us to improve the capture of those product discontinuance notices. Something like 30% of them are ones that we didn't receive anywhere else in the business, so they were new to us. They were new to us when we first synchronized them with our data provider. So it has allowed us to increase our monitoring coverage at low cost, because I think, as everybody knows, if you're trying to monitor the availability of mechanical and electrical components, it is not cheaper. It is not cheap. I would say the use of a data provider has allowed us to move more quickly. There are very few rail industry suppliers today producing smart PCNs. We have now included it in as part of our obsolescence charter with our suppliers, and we've done some marketing work directly with them. We hope that some of them are on this call today and see the value to them of moving to smart PCN by seeing the business cases and the use cases that you've been presented today. Again, the use of the data provider allows us to capture all the manufacturer part numbers on a PDN. We move that through the supply chain and through our information systems. And what it's allowing Alstom and its customers to do is to digitize their information flows. It makes us more efficient. It means that we can more efficiently send these notifications to our customers. It means our customers will get that information sooner. It means that we can help them to resolve obsolescence issues, which comes back to the fact that we're in a market where our rolling stock, our signalling systems, our infrastructure are expected to last 30 years or more from delivery. And because of the long life cycle of parts, even in the delivery phase, you know, our oldest parts, including electronics, may well be 50 or 60 years old by the time the train goes out of service. So that's the presentation. I'll leave the conclusion slide on so you can have a look at it. And if you've got any questions, I'll try to answer them.
Stuart, thank you. Thank you so much for your presentation, and in particular showing the case how you transfer a smart PCN to the company, finally to your customers. I think that is also something that is quite interesting, and this is this part of application as I described in the beginning, which is this enrichment. So you add data to the smart PCN, and therefore you are able to provide it to your customer. So the questions, again, for the questions, please type your question in the chat, because it's much easier to answer it from the chat than to enable all the microphones and cameras and things like this. So I saw one hand raised up. Okay,
yes,
from Tim.
Tim, so is the figure of 50,000 items unique part numbers? They are 50,000 manufacturer part numbers, yes. Yeah, that's a good question about customer part numbers. So we have them in our file in the CRM, and in fact our current plan is that, let's say we receive a smart PCN with 10 manufacturer part numbers on it. We will actually only send to each customer the ones that are relevant to them with their customer part numbers. So each customer will, if you like, get a bespoke smart PCN that's got their SNCF or Deutsche Bahn or Renfe or whatever part number on it, so that they can link it into their systems. Of course, we need to know those part numbers, and otherwise they would have to use an Alstom part number. But yeah, we think it's important that we don't send a huge document with all the manufacturer part numbers and everybody's customer part numbers to our customers. We want to make it as easy as possible for them to read and or to load that smart PCN into their systems. Maybe just one thing, because it does come to this question of the database structure. It's important to understand that the XSD file that you get that defines the database, which means you can directly create it in Access or in SQL as we now have it. What it doesn't do is create the programming logic around that. So you still have to write a program to process, to modify data, but the XSD file gives you the formats. It gives you the type of field. And maybe the validations of it. So although it doesn't give you everything for that, it certainly gives you a good start in terms of developing your own solution. I think we spent probably €50,000 developing that solution altogether. These things don't come cheap, but it was part of the business case that has been part of the payoff.
Right, and as I understood you, so you get the smartPCN out of the PCN cockpit and then you copy it into the TOMSys by the export function.
Yes, yeah. So it takes exactly the structure. Yeah.